Hi, it's Lisa Cuneo. Welcome to my scrapbook table. Today I'm sharing a layout that I created with this 6x6 pad from Crate Paper. It's from 2010. I have 3 photos taken last fall of some little sisters. I created some leaves using dyes from Stampin' Up! And Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks. Here I'm thinking I might map my photos with this vanilla cardstock, and I decide there's not enough contrast there, so I swap that out for this dark brown, which is a basil. One side's real shiny, I don't care for that, but I do like the dark brown color, so I matted all my photos, and I believe I cut that out, yes. So here I'm deciding where to place them, and I like this arrangement. And while I'm looking at that, I decide I'm going to stitch, because the placement of those 3 6x6 pieces came from a Scrapbook Generation sketch by Allison Davis, and of course there's stitching on her sketch. But really, after that, nothing else goes with the sketch. I kind of veered off track, but it did give me a starting place, and I appreciated that. I start thinking about where I'm going to put my clusters, mainly using these leaves that I created. I have 2 sizes of leaves, and I did a variety. I just, on my craft mat, I squished the ink down, red, orange, yellow, green, sprayed it, stuck my paper down in there a few different times, let it dry in between, and then die cut the leaves. So they range from a kind of a reddish, dark reddish pink color through orange, and then yellow with some speckles of green in there. I do really like how they turned out. I start looking for some bases for my clusters, and I find this gray piece that I do like. I ultimately end up leaving it off though and replacing it because it's gray, and there's nothing else gray about my layout, and it didn't quite feel right. There are also these mushrooms, and when else am I going to get mushrooms onto a scrapbook page? So I went ahead and used them. They kind of fit. Mushrooms are woodsy, and there's woods in these pictures, so I go with that. And I decide I'm going to use this frame from Felicity Jane. I have a couple of those left from what I bought last, I think, Black Friday. I find this 3x4 card that the color matches, and I decide to use it to create what looks like a strip going the whole way across my 12x12 page. It certainly does not. It's just little pieces at either end, and a faux tag in one place as well. I got all of that out of a 3x4 card. So now I'm deciding exactly where to place my photos. I did use my T-square ruler to get them straight. And here's where I decide I want to trim this to make it look like a tag. So I cut off a corner, and then I flip that corner around and trim it on the other side. That way the angle of my corners is pretty close. And I created a reinforcement for my tag there, and just gonna put it in, and I grab my bin of string and twine and find just an off-white twine that will work to thread through that reinforcement on the top of the tag. Adds a little texture to my page. That ends up being the biggest cluster on my page up there where I have that tag. I have some mushrooms up there, a few leaves, 4 leaves actually, and one of those is a little bit dimensional. And you don't see it in the photos, but I did also add a little word sticker there that says favorite little moments. And here I'm creating that piece to look like it's spanning my page, and I will use the piece on the left there as the base for that embellishment cluster. And it looks a little crooked, so I came in with my T-square ruler and straightened that up a bit. And I cut another piece. Here instead of measuring, I'm just holding it there along the other one and snipping it with my scissors so I can get that the same width to create the piece that will match that over on the right. Use that ruler again. And I'm sorry for the glare. I filmed this after dark, and so that meant I had to use an extra light, and in order to have enough light, I had to put up with the glare. If anyone knows a great solution to that, I would love to hear it, so you can put that down in the comments or message me on Facebook. Either one. So now I start building my cluster with the leaves, and here's where I decide, no, the gray is not going to work. And I end up using a little piece of wood grain in there, and I pull out some stamps because I realize I have a Close to My Heart set that is fall themed. First I thought I was going to use the brown. I end up using this Cajun Craze, which is kind of a dark orangey red from Stampin' Up. And it just says fall is in the air. Has some acorns and little leaves on there. I do really like that. And thankfully, I was using my Misty because I had to stamp it twice to get a good impression. Clean up a little bit. And it's time to start gluing down my leaves and mushrooms. I don't think I've ever said that before. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sheets of paper in this 6x6 pad. So it certainly didn't get used up, but I did use some. Maybe I'll make a few cards from that soon to use this fall, along with that pretty set from Close to My Heart there. There's lots of good sayings on there. Let me grab it. It says, autumn shows us how beautiful it is to let things go. Autumn blessings, thankful for you. And you'll see in a moment that I'm going to add where it says fall and a little sentiment that says simply enjoy these moments. Yeah, I think those will make some nice fall cards. I can't pick up this little moth that was with the mushrooms. There it goes. I really like how that frame nestles in there. Ended up gluing a little mushroom on top of the frame. And some of the leaves in this cluster are tacked behind it, and then one of them I popped up a little bit and it overlaps. A small one overlaps on top of that frame. On the far left, I layered a couple of the small leaves to create some dimension there, and I did the same in that lower right cluster. I wonder what I'm doing right now. I have no idea. Oh, I was putting a little dimensional adhesive beside half of that leaf to hold it up above the thickness of the frame there. Those Felicity Jane frames are pretty thick. There's this big mushroom, and I end up tucking it behind the leaves. It helps those stand out a little bit better than just against the creamy cardstock, and I do like that. Found another tiny one. It's gonna tuck under there on the left of that frame, right underneath the photo of the girls looking into the water, which is just so sweet. All of these are sweet little pictures. This page will actually go to their mom. So the only thing I'm writing on here are the girls' names and that it was fall of 2022. If their mom wants to add some things about where they were that day, she can go ahead and do that. And here's where I decide to, since I had stamping at the bottom of the page, I wanted to balance that out and add some stamping at the top. And the word fall, the way the F comes down lower than the ALL, I just love how it fits right there. And even if you can't see it well right now, it will show up nicely in the still shots at the end. So I stamped fall, then over a little bit I stamped simply enjoy these moments, and I added a couple leaves with the same Cajun Craze ink. That's always been one of my favorites from Stampin' Up. I don't even know if it's still a current ink that they carry, but I really love that color. I use it a lot in fall. And fall is my favorite season, so it gets used a lot. I take lots of fall pictures. So we're coming up to the end here. I decided not to splatter or do any enamel dots. I'm just going to leave it as it is. I really like how it turned out. Trimming off that little bit there. Tucking in my thread. And that is it. It'd be a good idea to go check out Janet and MK as they are doing this Use It Up for July and digging into stashes. They've inspired me, and I've gotten some things on pages, and I'm really happy about that. Hope you have a great day. Thank you for joining me. Here are the still shots.